I was always on the lookout, like now leo the negative comment itatoka wapi sasa.
Yeah.
Nilifanya nini jana yenye inaweza leta shida leo?
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest problem. Now anxiety kicks in, bro, and even a pair of scissors, I couldn't hold it properly. I was always shaking. I always opted to go and sit maybe on a table that I am alone, whereas no, these other guys cannot see me.
Yeah.
So around February mid, we had another guy hired. Okay, so by
the main man himself.
Mental Wealth. Welcome back to another episode of Mental Wealth Podcast. We are excited that you have chosen to spend your time listening to us today. Of course, I'm here with my co-host.
The main man himself, DMW. But if you have time, you can call me Derek Masaba Were.
They don't have time.
There's a proverb I read, African proverb from West Africa, says if you go to sleep with an itching anus, you'll wake up with smelly fingers. It's true. It's true.
So your fingers smelled this morning?
No. The message is deeper than what you think.
Why? The relevance of the message is what I'm looking for.
I mean, if you don't heal today, you'll suffer for long. Thank you. You'll suffer for long. But I love how you're thinking.
We are happy to be here today to discuss a very important topic, and we have a guest. They'll introduce themselves in a bit. But I think this is a topic that has been long overdue.
Yes.
And I feel like this is something at least everyone has experienced. We're about to discuss toxic workspaces or workspaces in general and how to look out for your mental health in the workspace, or how the workspace can look out for your mental health. So I feel like this is very important because at least a lot of people, many people are privileged to have at least work or something they do, even a biashara. And sometimes you always focus on the money or what you're getting at the expense.
Chasing the bag.
Yeah, you're always chasing the bag at the expense of everything. Like if today you were to choose between your peace of mind and money, you will choose the money. Like, but there's always this thing, but it pays my bills, but it pays my rent, where will I get money, and things like that. But there's also something that people say, if you die today, the next week, where you work will be advertising, and they will move on with their lives swiftly and in a hurry. So the message I think here is to see how we can encourage our audience to prioritize their mental health, to balance between prioritizing their mental health and also chasing the bag, right? So at this time, I would like to give an opportunity for our amazing guest to introduce themselves so that the audience can have an opportunity to listen to what he has to say.
So thank you so much for hosting me today, Derek, and your awesome co-host. So my name is Wens Ahura. You can call me Wens, or as they say, I am a STEM educator and also a web developer. Part-time, I enjoy taking time listening and talking to others. So that's basically what I've been engaging in, especially when it comes to earning a living and sustaining ourselves in Nairobi. Yeah.
STEM educator.
Yeah. STEM educator.
So
what is that?
So in the current era, we have different kind of model of learning that has been introduced, especially to young kids. This is for my experience. We've been training kids since 2016. I've been training kids in introduction to programming, using softwares like Scratch, using Lego Mindstorms to train them in programming also. We also have things like called physical computing. This is where you train kids on to learn things like engineering, but using technology accompanied by it. So around STEM, that is basically science, technology, and engineering and mathematics. So we combine all these things, break them down into easier and simpler modules that kids can digest. So that's basically it.
Wow, amazing. It looks like something so foreign. I would never thrive in that field.
What I know is STEM involves science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
I know.
So where there is science?
What else I know about that is women in tech.
Where there is science.
Yeah, but you've been like the term women in tech has been used to like frighten so many of us. Whenever we hear like someone is introducing themselves and they're saying I'm
a woman in tech.
Yeah.
But then, my friend, it's nothing so much big. It's just that you should see them as our counterparts, as just like your sister taking up a role into something that you've been doing. So I believe us men, like for me, it is a lady who actually introduced me into STEM.
Oh, wow.
So it is just about seeing them as someone like you can walk around with, especially in your career, even if it's tech included.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makofi to that woman. Makofi ya kilo, makofi ya kilo.
Yeah.
So, wherever she is, if she listens to this,
Anaitwa nani?
Share the podcast with her. Give
She's
her
called
a shout
Rennie.
out.
Yeah, Rennie, so we
Oh.
Dennis, yeah, big up.
Big up to Rennie Sowino. Big up. Manze Rennie Sowino ni mtu mbaya sana.
Pokea salamu mingi
Pokea
sana
salamu
kutoka kwa
mingi
Mental Wealth
sana.
Podcast.
We love you, bana. Thank you so much for introducing Wenceslas to
Are you bombing?
STEM.
Are you bombing?
I'm bombing her. I love the vibe. I'm loving the vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wens,
Yeah.
allow me to call you Wens. Your name is a tongue twister. You can tell us briefly about your journey into the market. How did you the journey, the struggles, and how you first got job.
Okay, so I finished my high school not so long ago, like in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 year later, I think not exactly 1 year later, the first job that I got was working in someone's company, IT company though, but we were doing some installations for telecommunication company, installing Wi-Fi and CCTV connections in apartments. I remember most of our jobs used to be around the Parklands because the office was based in Westlands. So that was my first gig. I was being paid actually, I remember 300 shillings per day. I did that gig for that job for almost a year, and in 2016 when we had some misunderstanding at the workplace according to some payments that had been made by a client. So because this client was paying for our skills and for our labor, then the company had to drop us. So then I heard about this place called Tunapanda in Olympic. So that's how I found myself in Tunapanda through someone else who recommended me to that training. Did a 3-month training there. Found so actually before that, this training, the work that I've been doing, I could have said that it could have actually sparked some interest in me towards IT and stuff. So this was like an eye-opener, finding myself in that place, and I'm like, oh, these things I was doing at this place, and I didn't like really understand what's the ideology of the technology behind it, because as they say in Tuamkono, you are just there to be instructed by your supervisor, do this. But then coming to Tunapanda, I loved a certain course called networking. This one reflected very much to what I had been doing previously. So that actually gave me like a window, or just to peep into and to see now what else can I get from this place. So into that space I got to do that 3-month training, and then 2019 came. It was a struggle also. The first gig I did in 2019 was Safaricom activation jobs.
Yeah.
I guess every youth in this Nairobi has actually done such a
Derek,
gig.
have you?
Have you engaged
Have
in
you?
such
In
activation jobs? For
no. At least
Look
the
at
farthest.
the privilege.
No. I'm not privileged.
No,
Look at the
I wouldn't
privilege.
call that privilege.
Have you worked
No,
at
I'm
have you ever worked at M Global?
Oh yeah. Oh
Never
man.
know.
Kama hujaifanya M Global, you are still new in this city.
So that one, it was a better job compared to what I was doing at the end of 2018. I could go to this shop, sell to them phones, sell to them SIM cards, and at the end of the day, I was paid 1,000 bob. We did this, and actually it came for around 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, that was good money, 14k. I was actually satisfied with that kind of a job. Actually, it is quite deserved to be noted that some of the managers and the supervisors that we were working with, most of them could actually care. If they know you are dead query and you're coming from a certain area, they could organize you guys to get into an Uber that would be dropping you along the way. For example, if the last person will be alighting at 42 and you all are coming from Yaya, they will get get you an Uber that will be bringing you. So that was the first time that I really felt secure or someone really cared about me. And then these guys we are just doing like an activation. This guy doesn't even need to know you more than 2 weeks. So it was really an impact that I felt now, even if I earned this 14K in 14 days, it was really worth it, because now looking at the expenses, they'll be taking care of your lunch and transport. It is an awesomely conducive environment, because now they need you to sell their stuff.
True. And let me just interject, because I feel like you've brought in a very important aspect of you feeling like somebody actually cared about you in a situation.
Yeah.
And my question is, did that affect how much you gain in that job? Like in terms of your commitment, in terms of being punctual or things like that?
Actually, I would say it boosted, actually. It boosted my commitment to that place. One of those guys, we still do communicate till today.
Yeah.
And despite him being like a high-ranked guy for under these firms that are actually outsourced by Safaricom to do their marketing, he's actually doing pretty well. I always want to maybe one day reach such heights, but with the humility in such a figure, and you can just hit them up like on WhatsApp and just, hey man, I was just checking if you could get me some gigs, and it's someone who is always there, and you're like, okay, let me check out if anything comes out, I will holler at you. So this is something that really motivated me even to work even more harder. Not only just in making sales, because even if we at that point, if my sales were increasing, just aside that, apart from that, 1,000K fixed payment for commission, my commission also could increase. So this created also a room for a win-win situation for both me and the shop, and also the marketing agency. Yeah. So that was basically it that I did for 2 weeks into January, and around Feb, the whole of Feb I was at home. Then March I came across this certain guy. He's a valuer. He's based in Mombasa Road, moving in. So I had a smooth ride moving out, but then COVID came. That is in 2020. I had already moved out, but I moved out in around May, June of 2020, but COVID became to be serious in Kenya around March. So all this time COVID had hit, but our business was just doing well still, because most of our projects were governmental contracts. So things went into early of 2021. That was now last year. That is when the rain started hitting us. All our projects had come to a standstill, and this guy couldn't be able to keep up, maybe pay me.
So now you had to look for another employment.
Yes.
Tell us about this new employment. Probably.
But first of all, you've had good employers.
I need to meet.
I know, right? Show us your ways.
No,
Show us your
actually,
ways.
I can tell you for sure. That guy, I think, out of all these guys, Ben, who's the most recent one, the valuer, I think he was God sent, because actually
Another shout out to Ben.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Ben.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's been amazing. The latest time we talked was like on Monday.
Wow.
He gave me a call and he was like, "Are you doing okay?" Since you
Wow.
left?" And
What a wow, David. What a wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is it. He called 2 days ago.
wow.
Oh.
He's a very awesome guy, and he actually made even my transiting from Kibera to Utawala. He tried as much as possible to make it comfortable. This is the kind of life that I was used to.
Wow.
Then
The kind of finally.
Ukakaribishwa Nairobi, my friend.
This is the kind of life I was used to. Then 2021, I had applied for a certain job to a friend.
Yeah.
So the friend told me at their company there was some vacancy, this STEM educator role, and this was the first time that I was going to
Apply your skill.
My
Yeah.
skill
Yeah.
in a corporate setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything went on well. The interview, all the phases worked out well. So.
And you were excited to get this job?
I was very excited, actually, knowing I was going to work with, like I can say, my best friend. I was going to work with her in this same company where
Wow.
she is. So So, and I knew I had someone who I can look up to in terms of work and getting along at that place. Especially, a new workplace can be tiresome sometimes, especially when you're trying to fit in. But knowing that I have someone to work with me along the way, so it was somehow motivation for me to actually take up this role. The pay was good. Comparing to where I had been, now looking at these figures, it wasn't a deal that you could say.
Was it double what you're getting, triple from what you're getting?
I would say double.
Double.
Wow. What I was getting.
Wow.
Yeah. So now this was awesome, and I was all factors considered. I try and calculate if I get this fare, if my expenses right. At the end of the day, I'll be making some good progress, especially in trying to figure out where I want to go next. Especially first, the next thing you want to do when you get something like that is now clear, at least come at par, clear your debts or something like that. Because now at this time, I still had some rent arrears from September that I hadn't paid. This job is coming in December, and most probably I'm going to be paid end of December. So it was miraculously, I don't know how I was able to figure out or to maneuver through the first month of December, especially in terms of fare. That one I've never even remembered, like where was I getting this fare, I can't recall. But the experience for the first month, it was awesome. You're getting to meet new kids, you could interact with some kids who are being homeschooled, and these kids are naturally brilliant. You could get a 5-year-old kid who could operate a computer from start to finish without you being there. Sometimes if you're trying to give them like some few minutes for them to work on something, they will perceive you as a slow teacher, because they are expecting you to be 10 steps ahead of them. So it was also challenging for me to at least speed up my speed in terms of training these kids and getting to know who is faster and who isn't. So the first month was actually well, and it was welcoming. Though it had some red flags that I overlooked.
Which ones are these?
First, if I recall clearly, my orientation wasn't done properly to that job. So I expect if I'm coming to this office and I have to be working with Derek will be here to guide me. But then at that time, the lady that I had found there wasn't so much kind of supportive. And not knowing that she was on plans, she was having plans of quitting this job sooner. So I'm in 1 month, it's only me and her at Nairobi station. But imagine at the start of January, not knowing I'll be alone.
So she quits her job
in January.
Because she's found a better.
Yeah, I guess maybe the job could have been a factor, and also the workspace could have.
Or the workspace.
Yeah, the workspace could also have played some major role in that.
Okay, so after she left, how was it for you?
It was hectic. Though my friend came in, she before that she usually was working remotely. But then during this time when this lady, the manager, had left, she had to step in so as to be the other person in the office, so we can at least help each other out. But you find out that most of her jobs still, or her duties, are to hold sessions online. So she can't be there with you or to take you through all these things all the time. So some things you have to figure them out by yourself. And along the way, we came to realize this is actually now nearing the end of January almost, and some few days of February, I started being pointed out that most of the things that I used to do were wrongly done.
Okay.
So it was somehow very much discouraging, because each and every time a supervisor could or a lead in a certain department could reach out and they're like, hey Derek, it has come to our attention that so and so is not doing these things right. But then as much as you try to explain yourself to them, like, guys, look out, this is what happened, I don't even know this is supposed to be done this way. I'm just trying to find my way around things, and I didn't know that these are the rules and procedures to be followed. So if I could need something and I feel Derek is more engaged in such an area, I could reach out to Derek, not knowing there has to be a protocol to be followed. So
and remember your orientation wasn't done well.
Yeah, so it was quite challenging and demotivating also. I must say, it was also demotivating. Sometime my December and January were just fine, waking up and stuff. But going into February, that is the time I had to struggle to wake up and get up from bed. Keeping in mind that I have to come, I had decided not to move because I was still living. At that time I was living in Tawala and the job is in this side of Ngongo. So I had to wake up at least on time, because even if I miss 10 minutes past my schedule, it means I'll be late. And this is a place kids are being brought in by their parents in the morning, and these parents are going to their workplace. So you can't like be able to tell someone like I'm 5 minutes away. Yeah. So it was very, it was very stressful, especially knowing that I have to struggle with getting out of bed first. That is one of that was the first thing, struggling to get out of bed. It became so often that sometimes I could have to put like up to 6 alarms before this time that I'm supposed to wake up. Another thing was getting out of the
because
shower.
of now the motivation that you were feeling.
Yeah, another thing would be if I go into that shower room, it will take me forever before I get out of that place. So that was before I realized I had already spent so much time in there. So I started getting to work late, and because to that time Mombasa Road was being constructed, maybe people could understand. Maybe it's because of traffic or what, but no, not really. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, you were just not in the mood.
Yeah.
And so all this time, like before you get to that situation, sorry to take you back, before you get to that situation where now you're starting to struggle to wake up, you're starting to struggle to like come to the work on time, like what are those like small things that just got you there? I know you've told us you were demotivated, but what are those like small actions that maybe you can remember, small things that you're like hey, this one happened on this day and this one happened on this day, or just maybe something that happened and just like maybe this job is not for me?
Yeah, so there's a time we could plan something and then something happened, like for example we had an arrangement for a program and the program just ran successfully, but then deep down when we sit for these meetings on Mondays, I would expect, like, because we are the only people in Nairobi, we were like 2 or 3 of us when we were, plus the manager, but when she left we remained 2 before someone else came. So at this time we could expect even to hear some acknowledgement from the management, but these guys are based in Nigeria, so most of the time they couldn't even like bring to light the simplest thing that these guys have been able to do on this other side.
They didn't appreciate your
So there was no acknowledgement, no appreciation.
Yeah, for Nairobi team, they usually call it Nairobi team. So that's the term. So most of the time I could call my friend aside and tell her, this is how things run here, but because I feel we've done so much greater things than even what this other team is being applauded for. But then,
did you ever bring it up?
In the team?
In the meetings?
In the meetings?
Yeah.
No, I never had the courage or even thought of bringing it up. Because she told me, now, because now I know, coming up to this cafe, this space, they were having challenges of numbers. So deep down I knew, maybe they are not so much considerate to applauding us because the Nairobi team is still doing low numbers compared to these other teams. So deep down I will tell myself, maybe we need to work hard and try and bring up these numbers. Maybe by the time we are at par, some things might change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
so along the way we came to realize that there's a time we did so much, and this time we hosted a virtual meetup for both kids who attend the Nairobi, Uganda and Nigeria workshops. So this meetup we did, our team, the Nairobi team, our students stood out they seem to be at least more knowledgeable about the training that we've been doing compared to the others. So now I expected this to be brought up or to be highlighted in the meeting, and maybe someone to ask you like, okay, this is what has been done, so guys, we need to appreciate this team. Notwithstanding that same day that we were holding that session, it was being held at one of the schools here in Kibera. But that same day, it was only I and this friend of mine. So two of us, we have to make sure at least more than 50 students are seated, or like just to organize, in short, we had to organize this virtual meetup. So we all had to make sure we organize how we get them laptops from the office to this place and set up everything on time. But then on Monday meeting, I believe lesser issues were uploaded rather than giving credits to these people who have done, I think, the bigger job. So that one really turned me off, and that was the beginning of me thinking like maybe this place is not for me, because I can't be here like breaking my back.
Were there moments when you were verbally abused by the seniors?
Shit. Talking about that, there's a day we had planned a meeting, and this meeting was supposed to happen on a Friday. Me, this lady friend of mine, and some colleagues from Nigeria. So it was supposed to be a virtual meeting. So we have this meeting and decide on the next steps. So we work on the next steps and send the feedback and the response to the entire communication team channel, which was via Hangouts. Yeah. So this one we do. Deep down between me and this lady, we know we've done what was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
But then this day, one of the leader comes to this group chat and asks, Nairobi team, we were to do this and this. What's the progress? And we said, I thought we already met and sent out this response to the team. And then she was like, Wenceslas, you cannot come here and teach me how to run. To be precise, she said, I don't know where you've worked before, and let me tell you, you cannot come here and teach me how to run programs. I am the programs manager, and things have to go as how I dictate them to be. Now, this is someone who had the opportunity of sliding to my inbox and just copy pasting all these paragraphs and telling it to me directly. But she opted maybe the best way was to do this in front of the entire team.
Yeah.
It was very demoralizing. Keeping in mind I was still new there. At the same time,
we're still in February.
We are still in February. At the same time, and this is early February now, and at the same time, I'm still struggling between the mistakes that I've been doing since December and January. Then this is now the time that I'm being shown this is what you've been doing wrong. Now I'm still trying to pick up from those experiences and those mistakes, but then she pours this on the group chat. That day I got very emotional, and I was like, I wanted to leave the office like immediately. But then the lady told me, now it's Friday. Was it Friday or something? It's Friday, and you guys have to go and train these kids on the Olympics. So just hold on until that time comes. Then you go. I'm sure by the time you interact with these kids, you'll get better. So to an extent, that statement alone was very supportive.
Yeah.
Because it showed me, just despite this lady knowing that I've been wrong, she asked me to be the bigger person in this story and to lay low.
Bigger person. Shout out to bigger persons.
And let it lie low, and then at least continue with the rest of the day like nothing happened. So this happened, and then this was one of the biggest reasons why I decided maybe not to think of staying into that job any longer. And some other times she could have opportunities whereby she could have confronted me directly and pointed out my mistakes, especially being the programs manager. But you find she had to go through someone else, like tell so and so, and then someone comes and tell you, hey, this the programs manager is saying.
So she didn't have the respect to just address you directly.
Yeah, there's another incident that happened is she came to my inbox and shared a document with me and said, fill this out, maybe how it's supposed to be. And then I go back to the same inbox of hers and told her hi. I didn't say hi, so this is what made her angry, because I didn't greet her. So I just went and told her, I've done, it's done, check it out. So this one also, she brought it up like me being disrespectful, but keep in mind, 2 hours later, this same person didn't even greet me. So me, I just went back to reply to that text. And at the same time, I don't take it as an excuse. I know I could have done better. But at the same time, I tried to explain to her, maybe I just did that because I was hurriedly letting you know this is what you needed and it's done. Because you're sending me this document in the middle of a session and I have kids in class and it's me training them. But my point wasn't too much of a sell to her. So it was a very big issue. She even told my friend that maybe Wens is being this way because you brought her here.
Also, now your friend was dragged into.
Yeah.
Let me take you a bit away from your workspace now back home. How was it affecting you back home? Are you where you're living alone? You have somebody you're living with? Does it affect your relationship with your friends? Is there emotional baggage from all this?
There was too much of emotional baggage because I have a young family. I have a wife and a kid. My kid was 3 years then. She just turned 4 this month. So I came to realize that during the time I've left office, most of the time in the bus, I'm either listening to music or I've dozed off by the time I reach Utawala. So I'm getting home emotionally exhausted and I hadn't talked to anyone about anything. I hadn't let out anything that I felt was holding me back. But then anything silly, anything stupid that could entice a kid was making me get mad. So I realized this was until my partner pointed it out to me.
You're letting out your anger to your kid?
Yeah.
A 3-year-old?
Yeah. I was not knowing it had gotten into to that extent. But she pointed out scenarios to me so perfectly that I remembered and I felt so much ashamed of what I'd been doing. Because now, as a kid, maybe she would come get you holding maybe your phone and she would want maybe to take it away from you. Maybe because she wants your attention.
Yeah.
But because I'm trying to look for somewhere I can redirect my anger and stuff, I will vent out on her. So this is something that went on for almost 2 weeks in February before I was pointed out on the 3rd week of February. See, this is what has been happening. And since you started this job, it's not that it is not helping, but really, your kid is not even happy with you coming back home as it was before. So this is a 3-year-old girl. In fact, you are her favorite, as you all know how it is, father and daughter relationships. But then it comes to a point, you come in, she goes to the bedroom. She gets her dolls and she goes to the bedroom. The day I was pointed this thing out to, it felt so much heartbreaking for me to realize this is what I've been doing to her, and she didn't deserve any of this. She's the main reason why I actually have to go out to look for anything actually to do. Because if not for the motivation that I wanted to give her a better life, we could still be in Kibera. And here you could just, in Kibera, you know the lifestyle, you can just wake up and 2 hours you can get what you can eat for that day and you call it a day. But then on the other side, my friend, the lifestyle is a bit higher. You have a higher rent to pay, you have a higher school that you have to pay compared to this other side.
Yeah.
So the motivation has to be also higher than compared to this side.
Yeah.
So at that time, figuring out, trying to see, was this really worth everything? Even losing my connection between me and my kid. And then I decided no. It was
so that whatever happened, your partner pointing out what you've been doing to the kid is what was the turning point for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the turning point for me. And
so
before that could happen, Another thing I can point out is along these few weeks, the first 3 weeks of February before my turning point, these first weeks of February, we used to create things out of cartons most of the time. And it came to a point and I realized even no matter how simple thing I have to cut out of a carton, I was always like shaking, my hands were always shaking anytime I was inside that place. You're just in good moods, but anytime I am entering that plaza, I'm feeling anxiety all over me. And
is it because probably you're expecting a negative comment about your work?
Yes, exactly. That was the main reason behind everything. Because now I was always on the lookout, like now leo the negative comment itatoka wapi sasa.
Yeah.
Nilifanya nini jana yenye inaweza leta shida leo?
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest problem. Now anxiety kicks in, bro, and even a pair of sisters, I couldn't hold it properly. I was always shaking. I always opted to go and sit maybe on a table that I am alone. Whereas no, these other guys cannot see me.
Yeah.
So around February mid, we had another guy hired. Okay, so by mid of February, we are 3 of us in the office. But now, I opt to not sit with them because I know even on the samples of the cutout that I'm making, they are not perfect. A simple thing like a model that could illustrate how a well works, cut out of carton, could take me more than 3 days to finish.
On a normal day it will take?
This is something that you can do in 30 minutes, bro.
We're doing it in 3 days.
But now, I'm struggling because in these 3 days we'll have sessions in between. But then in these 3 days, anytime I'm alone, I'm very shaking because now I can't ask someone for help because now they expect that is your role. Another thing, that is your role. Duty has been divided among us 3 equally. Yeah? But then when it comes to me, because of what I was going through that time, it would get to a point that even like keeping notes, or even like we are in a meeting and I'm holding a pen trying to write something, but all the time I'm trembling because I don't know what will I be told next, but I haven't done correctly. So the fear of negative comments coming up gave me anxiety.
Was it the same comment you're getting from your colleagues? Did they approve of your work, or you just think based on your own experience? Is it that you're doing a poor job, or your managers and your bosses had a different view about things?
Everyone could see it because even my colleague noticed that I could take long in delivering such a task. So I remember there was one time we had a crisis meeting, and she pointed out that even when I distribute roles, it takes too long to be done.
Yeah.
But initially, did they recognize that you were doing a good job? Your colleagues?
Your colleagues, leave alone your seniors.
Yeah, my colleagues did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually the best thing that I always had from them, and especially one whom we usually used to train with at Olympic. He usually used to say that it took me quite some faster time to do or to learn these things compared to what he has experienced with other people before.
Yeah.
So that was really encouraging and motivating for me. But now, keeping in mind this other time, it could be so hard for me to do these things because this guy that would give me this comment, he only would come in on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'm only comfortable in the space when he's around because I know this is the guy who now knows what I'm facing at this place, and he's the only person whom I can at least open up to because now I don't know if I say it or speak it up to these other people, I don't know how they'll take it.
Let me ask, did the other colleagues, if through your interaction, were they facing the same treatment in a way, or this was just a one-sided treatment?
To some extent, I could say maybe this is the experience I was getting on my side because these guys were very close, especially this lady friend and his supervisor. They were very close. So I wasn't expecting, though sometimes they could go so hard on her because of me, and she could like blow it off and I'll be no, listen, this is how things are supposed to be done. But then if she steps up and speak out for me, they will tell her this is, we believe Wens is doing this because you are doing this. You see now, we believe Wens is doing this because you are stepping up for him or because you are speaking out on his behalf. So it could get quite challenging even for her to get around. So to some extent, she had to put on like the image, like she's no longer my friend, but we are only colleagues. So it got me some point feel somehow insecure about the job, because she could even start texting me about work related stuff through the work chat, compared to previous time where she could just text me on my normal WhatsApp and tell me, hey, there's this and these things that you're supposed to do, check them out.
When did you decide it's time to call quits?
This was in the 3rd week of February, actually 1.5 weeks before the new month now.
Yeah.
So after I was told about this thing with my partner, so the next day morning when I was leaving for work, I called my friend. I have a friend of mine. She had just graduated from Moi University. She did psychology and majored in counseling. So I called her and explained to her what I had been experiencing and we just had it was a very long talk all the way when I was coming to town and up to when I reached the office. Then she told me, okay, I've heard you, so what you do need, let me reflect on whatever you said. You go to work and I'll call you exactly at 6 p.m. when you're leaving, when you're going home. So the entire day I was just that day actually I felt relieved, because for once someone could listen to me for more than 100 for more than 100 minutes. Yeah?
It was not usual, not even in your workspace or
no. All that time niko kwa matatu, you're on a phone call na ako pale anakusikiza. So reaching at work, I felt lighter even, and the experience of me having anxiety na nini, though it was still there, but not as much as it used to, because I know now this is the environment that I have to work with. But then, as much as I try to create a good environment for myself, I expect to receive the same from those who are working with me. Especially, all my fears were coming from top, not even my colleagues, because they were having hard time working with someone who cannot deliver. I can't blame them. You see, there's nothing they did wrong. But ikifika point in unaangalia, the people that are supposed to be gauging your performance wako on the watch out, like they're just looking for the next wrong thing you did. So it could be a havoc for me. But this day it was easy. It was a very easy day, because now this day it was on a Friday, and I had talked to her and akaniambia tonge jioni. So I was looking forward to what she'll tell me.
Yeah.
That could calm me down. In the evening, she brought up this topic of people are out here looking for jobs, and when you got this job you were very happy because you got this job, especially after all you've been going through the entire last year, that was 2021, the entire year. And I'm like, okay, so me, I would prefer to her, she was of this idea of me to hold on and maybe hope maybe things might change in the next few weeks or something like that. So I bought the idea for 2 days. I woke up on Saturday, I was motivated enough to go to this place. I woke up on Sunday, I went to this place quite early. In fact, I reached that place and this friend of mine called me and I said, guy, you don't know, on Sunday we only open as from 12 and I was at this place at 10. So this Saturday and Sunday of mine, my motivation had skyrocketed again. But then I can't remember actually what really happened with this Monday. But this is the day nilianza tick. I started ticking on the calendar each day as the last days of February were going. And that was the time I decided, this is now, this job is not worth it. Because I remember there's some few times I could come back home with very severe headaches. And as you all know, it's not even advisable to, anytime you feel some headache, you are going for some painkillers and
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
These things need to happen to naturally. So this thing of going for painkillers ilifika to a point that I would wake up na feel ni kama mimi mgonjwa kabisa. So now it is even getting like health wise, kando tuna mental health, hata my body yenyewe ina deteriorate.
Yeah.
Ilifika to a point you don't have the effort ama hata morali ya kukula, even something simple like lunch. Na nilikuwa nashinda na chai from asubuhi mpaka jioni. Nikifika home alai, tulikula na nikunywe chai na ninde nilale. Before knowing, I had already lost weight. Now, this is something nilikuja like notice. Hiyo sasa time niliamua enough is enough. So on this day, on Monday, then I just talked to one friend of ours and I told him, as much as this job meant so much to all of us, both me and my family and you as a friend, I think this is that place that I have to alight from this bus. It's 3 months. This experience may never make any sense on my CV because it's less than 6 months in a place. So, and actually that same 3 months I was under probation period. So I took advantage of that, the end of this probation period. And on the day that I was paid, actually my last salary for February, I didn't even have the guts, like the energy to resign while I was still in that office. So on this fateful day, I had decided this is what is going to happen. So when these guys went for lunch, I just took my key, the key for the office from the bunch that I had, placed it somewhere on a top where I knew it could be seen sometime, some other time. I made sure anything in regards to the office, physical thing, the toys and everything that we used to have, that were in my possession, were well kept. And this day was just like a normal day. And I used to go home with the office phone sometimes. But this day I just decided to play a trick on this little told let it just be here because no one is going to call after 6. So I feel sorry because I lied to her. I knew earlier because I was going to quit this job. Yeah. But I didn't have the courage to tell her that this job is not working for me anymore. But by the time the only thing that could have made me to go back the next day was the office phone. But I tried as much as possible that she knew where I had left it. So in case I don't show up, someone will take over. I had logged out my email, my work email from that office phone also, because you never know what might happen. So I also logged out my work email from that phone and just placed it in a drawer somewhere where she knew it would be. Then when I got home, I just took supper that day. No one knew that. Even my wife was not even ready that I was going to quit that time or that day, because I got paid around midday, and I don't know what happened, but something just made me send all that money to her account.
To your wife's account?
Yeah. So I sent it to all that, the salary that I had received immediately and katumwa to her account. Now getting home, she's like, mkubwa nono umelipo leo. Kambia I was paid today. And she's like, okay, so tutapanga basi budget ya the next month na transport na nini before
tutapanga
before ulale. Sindio?
Thank you, at least I'm being advised on who I should
Then nikamwambia sawa tutapanga. So it reaches 10. We have 30 minutes before we go to sleep, and she tells me, okay, we need to be making those arrangements now. We need to do the budgeting now to do what next. So at that, in her mind, she's expecting me to tell her, okay, sawa kuja tupange. But then I told her, okay, give me some 30 minutes, then tuongea. See, you get late because you need to sleep to go to work tomorrow. And tell her after 10:30, I'll tell you what we will do next. So I remember at around 10:10, I sent this draft and scheduled it to be sent at 10:20, this email. So I just left my laptop to be connected to the internet so the email will be sent. So at 10:30, I've already flipped my laptop, I've switched off all my lines, and I've gone to bed. Drama that was about to unfold the next day. No, I was not even ready for it.
Yeah.
I knew. Now, switching off my phone was deliberate.
Yeah.
I knew. And funny enough, this guy the boss was in Kenya. The same day was in Nairobi. The same day that I'm quitting my job. So it came as a shock to him, like, okay, what's happening? But I wasn't aware of anything that transpired until the next morning. So at around 10:30 this night, I told my wife, there's no need to sit now to talk about everything like the next budget or stuff. Let's just go to bed. We have all the time from tomorrow to do all this.
She was aware your
She didn't.
He did. This is how he's telling him. He's telling her.
You know, when he's saying that you went ahead to tell her they will have all the time tomorrow, I'm thinking like she has a clue, like tomorrow.
No, this is how you're telling her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And she didn't even like get a clue. She didn't even know that I had quit my job. And this she'll get to know the next day, almost 12 hours from now, the next day, saa 4 mcha asubuhi ndo atajua. So this morning, story has already moved around. The boss is asking for my phone number from my colleagues in Nairobi, and he wants to have a call with me. I talked to him at first, and this I'll be honest. I talked to him and I told him, if there's anything that's making me leave that work, it has nothing to do with anything like money, because to him was, are you being overworked? Do you feel we should add you some money? Come to the office today.
This is the overall
Yes, this is the
CEO.
It's not the programs.
No.
That is the CEO from Nigeria.
Yeah, the guy has landed. The guy is in Nairobi, and he wants us to meet. That was on Wednesday because I had quit on Tuesday. Now we are talking on Wednesday. Then he remembers kids have to come to the office on Wednesday, and as it stands, there's only one person there because the lady friend had taken her off that day, so she wasn't going to be at the office. So this only guy can't handle the entire day. So the guy gets mad, calls me back, and this time he's threatening to sue me because I've left this job without the 2 weeks notice that I'm supposed to give him.
Yeah.
I told him, actually I don't even have the mental capacity to give you even a day more. If it could have been my powers, and if it would have paid us maybe last weekend, I couldn't even have showed up on Monday. I'm telling you for sure. And the moment I told him this, he raised his voice. He was saying all manner of shit. He's going to get papers to sue me, going to the labor office because I've terminated a contract without prior procedure that's supposed to be followed. Deep down I looked around, what do I have to lose in case this guy comes for me, because now he's even mentioned the money factor, which we know he has. Now what do I have to do? Nothing. I was just trying to earn a living. But then along the way, mentally, things didn't go well for me. No one was ready to face even these things, even me myself, because I was hiding from the reality. I wasn't telling anyone this is what I'm going through. So at that moment, how my wife now came to know I am quitting. This guy calls me, he has called me around 10. So I pick my backpack, go into the bedroom, pack some few trousers, pack some few t-shirts, and
your wife was not around?
No, she wasn't around. She had gone out to buy some breakfast. And when she's coming, I'm closing the laptop and I'm leaving the house. I told her, see, you have all the money that can sustain you guys. I don't know till when, but I have to go. First, I didn't even know where I wanted to go, but my phone is off and I'm afraid anytime I put it on, this guy will call me. And this lady, my partner, there's a time she worked in a law firm, and she told me, if you ever been threatened about someone suing you, the next thing you can do is for you not to be found physically, because someone can serve you a letter or a court appearance
if they can't find you
and they don't know a
and
lawyer.
now you are riding on this knowledge.
And now I'm riding on this knowledge. because najua kama hizi nipata physically or anyone,
there's nothing I can do.
They can't serve my mom because kweli nime-breach contract. I was supposed to give him a 2-week notice, but mentally I can't.
Is there not a provision in the law that says that? There should be.
In fact, around that time, all the things I was seeing need, one has to be giving out at least notice here 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or a grace period of how long you have to wait for your salary.
Yeah.
But then this is becoming tricky. Because if you all know, sometimes some employers, if you are leaving, you're going your other ways.
They won't pay you.
They won't pay you.
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to risk that. So I was just waiting for my payday for me to leave.
Destination for this journey?
Mombasa.
You're going to Mombasa, you're going to see the beach.
Fun enough, around 2018, the time I was working for this tour firm, we used to bring guests from all over to Coast. So around that time, I had made some contact with some friends who are working in Coast and who are living in Coast. So this guy stays in Twapa, he has a house there, and nampigia nikiwa kwa gari. Nilifungua tu simu like 2 minutes. Nikiwa naenda town, and I told him I'm booking the next bus to Coast. I don't know what time nitafika, but time nitafika ndio nitakupigia. You can't talk more, but make sure tu niko na room yenye ndaka kwako. I don't know for how long. Na nikazima simu tena. The next morning I reached in Mombasa because nilichukua basi usiku. The next morning nikifika Coast ndio nikafungua simu, nikatext wife nikamwambia, hey, I know nilitoka vibaya and sikuongea about anything, but just know it's work related. I quit na mimi niko kwa mali niko.
Wow.
What?
This is interesting.
What? So now I have so many questions. What is the reaction of your wife at this point? Is she thinking you're running mad? Is she calling 911?
I think she was mad actually, first. I guess from how we talked when I came back, she was mad at me first. Just not trusting her with even the information that I could have given her, just to know what's going on.
Yeah, until you left her in the dark.
Yeah, that's what happened. But on the other side, the moment she got my text, from what I understood from her, the moment she got my text, she was relieved.
She was at peace.
Yeah.
You're alive.
She just needed communication, proof of life.
And then I think the other person who was worried was my mom, but then after she communicated with her, she was at ease. She was like, okay, they said big youth are gonna have troubles in a job. And these guys, I think this friend had already called my mom and told her. Then my mom told her, okay, if anything happens to my son, then if you are trying to sue him or anything, the next stop I'll be making, it's at your offices, and you won't like the drama that I'll cause there.
Yeah.
So as a mother, I understood her reaction, and I used the next 3 weeks well in Coast.
You were in Mombasa for 3 weeks.
I was in Coast.
Well deserved, I must say.
Well deserved, because this guy was taking care of me. So I don't have anything in my back now. The only money I had.
The power of connections.
Nile
If I do
pesa.
something like that, I need you to be able to take care of me.
No, I can take care of you for 3-4 months.
For
I mean,
months.
in Mombasa.
Without complaining.
No, I mean, you'll be complaining of overfeeding you.
And so these 3 weeks, we are waking up. If he has a gig he has to do somewhere with these clients at Injuli, we are going with him. Naenda alikuwa anafanya hizi job za MC kwa events, so I'll be helping him your time. At that time mimi nilitumia kama for me it was a moment ya to get back kila kitu in order. That was the time nilikuwa nataka kujua, like now I need to understand what do I really need.
Yeah, what do I need to do going forward?
Yeah, what do I want to do going forward? Hiyo 3 weeks ilikuwa the best. I can say the best that I've had since I became an adult. Because we are being brought up in a system yenye unajua, especially as a man, mimi nafaa tu kuwork, provide. Not knowing that hata wewe kuenda tu mahali relax to blow off steam
Ni important.
Necessary.
Yes.
I didn't know that until your time nikiwa Coast. And that time.
And all this time your wife is just like, as long as you find her, she's fine. She's not like, hey, go bring yourself back here.
Show us your ways. Show us your ways.
She wasn't. Now, one thing me, hata from nakumbuka from hiyo time nikimtext for the entire 3 weeks, the only thing that would happen ni text message back and forth after 2 days, hope you're good, hivyo tu. But one person I was worried about is my daughter, because sasa yeye anaambiwa nini. But I really, everyone else aside, I needed these 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm really proud that you did that, because from the gospel of you cannot give from an empty cup. If you needed to take those 3 weeks away so that you can come back a better father, then they were totally worth it. And I think everyone should be encouraged not to say like, now what will happen to my wife, what will happen to my kids. You come first as an individual, and you cannot be able to support everybody that you need to support if you yourself, you're a mess.
So it was such an event. It was an eventful moment in my life, because now I can imagine people are making calls here and there. In Kibera, I didn't know the story that was going around, but people can talk, you know. So the thing that could just be known is Wens a job, stay, and nobody knows anything about
Nobody knows where he is. I think that's the favorite part.
Yeah. I mean, I need 3 weeks break.
Yeah. So na hiyo 3 weeks haikuwa imepangwa. So actually ni this guy, he told me like, wewe kama unataka kukaa huku because uko hapa, the best thing ni hata time tulianza kufanya na hizi gigs, by the 4th day he was paying me anytime you're coming back from job. Anakwambia mimi nikiwa na mtu wangu wa mkono na mlipanga pesa fulani, so wewe tukirudi na and you realize who ni mtu mwenye anajua siko familia na ile place. So this is a support system I'm talking about now, when it comes to healing. So anajua siko familiar with cost, so anywhere atataka niende ama anywhere anatuma, ana create proper means for me to do that.
Wow.
At the same time, this is someone mwenye anakwambia, and if you feel umechoka and this is not what you want to do anymore, you are free to go back na ufanye nini, ufanye kitu kuleta huku, which is just getting off hizo shit zote
ufanye kitu kuleta huku, and it's not working.
It's not working.
I love it.
So, I mean, mimi ni lake.
I love it.
Indian Ocean, not even lake. This is an ocean.
Yeah, right? You're free to do what brought you here. And what
I came to
you
swim
is...
and eat.
And you know, Mtwapa to the nearest open beach pale ilikuwa almost for tuk ni around so. But ukipanda mati 30.
Yeah.
So ni distance unaweza piga day, utoke asubuhi na urudi jioni.
Destination Mama Ngina beach.
So ilikuwa time nyingine like energized a lot. From that day nikirudi Nairobi, I was anxious kujua to like, my heart was beating fast, not because I'm expecting bad news mali naenda, but niko anxious kuona watu niliacha kuiside.
Yeah, to see your daughter.
Now I am better. But now I am better. Na na feel una deserve hata kukaa na mimi, like kuliko venye nilikuwa.
So what transpired when you got home?
So time nilifika home, the first thing was just to get everything clear on the table, just to talk to my partner and everything that was happening na kila kitu yenye nilikuwa na feel. The next person I was talking to was my mom, and she supported everything, and she told me, if you feel that job was becoming too much to you, sisi ati nasema tu sisi ati tunalala njaa, ati you need that job so much, we are still living, na hata kama ilikuwa inatuletea do tuta have kiweka kando kiasi.
I love that.
But
you know, very few parents will do that.
And not even just a parent, even a partner.
Yeah, even a partner.
Kwanza na era yetu sahi, you will get someone mwenye akona wewe just because anajua uwe ni Derek because wewe na vitu wenye uko nayo. Not Derek mwenye the person is Derek with what you have. So along that line, ili feel hata hiyo 1 month ya February yani ya March, sasa this is after 3 weeks nimekaa coast. The last month of March niligala hata courage ya kurudi back online. Though something like Facebook and LinkedIn I've never reactivated, but my WhatsApp nilirudisha because I was even offline your time from WhatsApp. My lines at least ziko on, nikafungua your time, and from this time I was like, if anyone is calling me now, I can face them up, and if anyone has a question to me, naweza jibu. So along that line we realize sometimes we take for granted some things that we really need them so much. Something like just your time alone. Si lazima tu, it's not a must for you to be going out with someone ndio ujue ati umefurahisha mtu ndio ujue uko sawa. The fulfillment should come from within you first. You feeling fulfilled by doing kitu wewe mwenyewe unataka, kitu itakuweka at par with yourself na ukue at peace, because itafika to a point even 7 hours of sleep won't be enough, because there's kuna two types of people. Watu wanalala two different types. Kuna watu wanapiga in sessions, na kuna mtu akilala analala kangamia, hata atamkata kwenda kunywa maji ama kuingia washroom, something like that. But kuna point itafika, mimi nilikuwa nimezoea nikilala na amka time alarm inaniamsha, but ilifika to a point na realize I'm working in between this period sana. Now I'm waking up in between this period sana. But ukisha realize hata mind yako iko at peace na everything else in a flow. Like me, for now, where I am now, I'm at peace with so much. And
your relationship with your daughter?
Imekuwa fiti. I've been able to pull her a birthday party like for the first time since she came to this world.
Wow.
Time I'm returned for. That means nilikuwa able, even without a job, nilikuwa able to raise pesa yenye naweza mfanyia kitu kama hiyo. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. Hiyo ni kitu nimeachieve. My brother, I have a brother mwenye nimeingiza high school this year. He time 2 for mwanzo nimeingia, and it was a support from both my mom and I. But this is something singeachieve kama singekuwa able kuenda out na kujua how better can I get money just apart from
your job.
So just aside from me gaining my mental health back, kuna wasee wamefaidika from his process yote.
When you're mentally sane, it is not to you.
Si mimi.
But I think in an depression situation, he's so different.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the people would die on the job.
Yeah.
Would die on the job just to make sure they get that money.
There's a friend
but
of mine.
He was able to say, Manze, it's not a must.
There's a friend of mine, he told me, bro, hii do ilikam, aliniambia bro, hii job ilikam na imekuwa ikitusaidia. Not only me and my family, but hata yeye kama best yangu. Because if you can call me na niko na punch ya kukupea, that means your job inatubenefit sisi wote. But he said, if you feel your mental status haiko right, na ni ukweli umediagnose na umeona ni juu ya job, mimi, you have all my support.
Hey,
anything in unaweza fanya.
This guy is a post system.
So
show us your ways. Show us your ways.
For real, I can tell you.
Hey,
along
where
the way,
are my friends?
Along the way,
sending this podcast to everyone.
No, I watch over you.
No, you don't know, because along the way utakuja kurealize, but hatusemi hakuna watu toxic. I know, and kuna mabeshti hata wengine ni toxic, because someone will tell you cling on to this job.
Yeah.
Without knowing
the bag.
Yeah,
and you know the thing about being toxic or supporting toxic, you might not know because of how we've been socialized. Itakuja kukwambia job yake na stress. It's the same way we talk about marriage. Vumilia tu, sio utafanya nini, unajua vile kupata job ni ngumu. You know that you're supporting the toxic environment that this person is going through, and you're making them feel like they don't have a choice and they're tied to this option.
Yeah, exactly.
But we need to encourage people to be like, okay, we know this is where you're getting the money, but you come first as an individual.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So we all need, and I actually from that day I learned, and I need also to be very supportive to anything. Around that same time, the same time I was almost leaving my workplace, my sister wanted to join a college training for hairdressing. But now, keeping in mind going to do this course full time, she won't be able to have the time or energy or even space to maybe earn a living. And because we've been running this for Mimi and Mom, now thinking this one now and up in shule, to an extent, before I realized what being supportive means, I could have questioned like, sasa watu watasurvive aje. But because of my previous experience, nika realize nikamwambia, now if you feel that is what's supposed to happen in your life right now, go do that interview na ukianza hiyo kole, everything will sort themselves out. Now luckily mtoi wake alishaangia chuo, though my sis pia kwa mtoi na mimi pia mtoi wangu aliingia shule, na this other brother of mine pia aliingia shule. So this other time unapata huyu ameenjoy because umemsupport a push, hata kama ni 4 years later and I have to go back to college, even if she's being sponsored.
Yeah.
But and I have to go back to college because ako sure you as a family you won't feel a burden because anawaachia mtoi wake. No.
Yeah.
That meant so much to her, and I can tell relationship yetu pia as a family na yeye na me brother and sister imekuja ikagrow and ikaget better, because growing up with sibling rivalry, mtu mmefuatana na yeye miaka 3, it could always like every time you come to an agreement it will take a lot of energy, but now you can even like get a call from her na anataka kujua now I'm in this situation, how or what should I do?
What should I do?
That is trust being built also. So until you are perfectly okay,
yeah, you can't do
you can't be okay with others.
Wow. I have one last question for you before we finalize, because I feel like I can talk forever.
Yeah, sure.
What would you tell somebody that is in a toxic workspace right now that is listening to you?
For gathering from my experience, I will say you know yourself better. I can give you so many options of what to do next.
Yeah.
One can be staying, one can be leaving, one can be cause chaos in that workshop, your workspace.
I love that one.
Lakini, you know yourself better. Maybe you're not dramatic. You're not the person when you are willing to go this extra mile to make everyone uncomfortable for you to be comfortable, something like that. So for me is, I always say, you know yourself better. No matter how many options I give you, wewe pekee tu ndo unajua gani ita work out. Because for me, leaving and going out and now I'm fully freelancing my idea, because I have a lot of time with my kid. I pick her every day from school akitoka shule. Na I can wake up time nataka, as long as even if I work through the night, najua anything yenye pending on my plate nimeimaliza. So for me, like I will tell you, just do a self search. Only you can know what you want.
What you want. Yeah, that's great, and I think that's a good point to end this. This has been an amazing conversation. I know this is going to have a very great impact on the people that are going to listen to it, because it's I feel like it's
covering so much.
Yeah, we're discovering so much, and it's also somebody that has chosen to do things differently in terms of prioritizing their mental health. Yeah, 1 hour, almost 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed so much listening and actually being inspired on how you have handled the situation.
Thank you so
and
much.
I know that our audience has also been. Derek, what do you want to say?
My final words: people don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much everyone for listening. This has been amazing. Bye bye. See you next time.
Bye.